What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hugh Report and another edition of our Daily Drop. I'm your host, Riken Fuller. Alongside me is Noah Weisskopf. And on Saturday night, Noah and I were in attendance at the UNC basketball 2025 blue-white scrimmage game. And, when you go to a scrimmage game, a lot of the times you don't exactly know what you're going to see or better yet, what you're going to learn from it. But this is a new year for Carolina basketball, kind of unprecedented territory where when we went out there was only one guy on the floor that played substantial minutes last year, and that was Seth Trimble. So it was our first look at a lot of new players, and we actually ended up getting a lot and seeing how some of those players play. Definitely a lot how they play together, and an entire new team out there essentially, and they definitely looked like a new team. And that's kind of where we're going to start this conversation. The biggest negative takeaway from it was the turnover issue. Definitely in the first half that they played, they were playing 12-minute halves the first half. There was about a 2-minute stretch where I'm pretty sure they turned it over back and forth like a hot potato. So, I mean, it was wild. And Noah wrote an article about it, taking some of the takeaways from the game. So I'm going to throw it to him and just Noah, tell us a little bit about what you saw with that kind of early sloppiness in the blue-white scrimmage.
I think, honestly, that was probably one of the only negatives of that, of just the scrimmage in general. I think turnovers was just the number one and really only thing that we can talk about and say they need to really improve before the start of the season. But yeah, I mean, it was really sloppy. And both Seth Trimble described it as sloppy to us after the game. Caleb Wilson described it as sloppy to us after the game. And both of them told us that Hubert Davis in the locker room after the game sort of highlighted that and said, this is why we do this. We do this so we can evaluate the team on this, on this stage and in a competitive way. But yeah, turnovers were a big deal, and it was something that happened very, very frequently. But at the end of the day, I will say that after talking to both players, neither of them were really concerned about it whatsoever. Caleb Wilson told us that, look, we've really only been playing together for about 2.5 weeks. We haven't had a ton of time to gel. And while Seth Trimble has been pretty adamant and some other guys about the fact that they've gelled really quickly, I think they have. I think a lot of that took place off the court. They're really close as people. They're still learning a couple guys on the team that got there late, especially Luca. But overall, they didn't seem concerned in the least. They said that, look, these are things that happen. Seth even said that, look, this is something that happens to every team at the beginning of when they start playing together, when they start gelling. So at the end of the day, neither were pressed about it whatsoever. They were relatively easygoing on themselves about it. And Caleb said, look, flat out, this won't last. This won't happen once the season starts. This is just because we've had limited time together. So I think that their confidence in the fact that this will all go away by, in practice and continuing to get to know each other. One of them said that they didn't know exactly where players would be at certain times on different plays. So just learning each other, I think, is the biggest thing. But if we do have to pick something to talk negative about, then it's the turnovers. That was something concerning, but I don't think that there's anything that is convincing me that this won't be fixed by the time the season comes around. I think Seth Trimble said he had 4 turnovers. I don't have the exact number on turnovers, but he had 4. Other guys turned the ball over quite a bit. But yeah, not a big concern for me.
It wasn't really just one guy that was turning the ball over. It was kind of a team effort, which again goes back to the newness and all that. I really just wanted to get that one out of the way early. I know there was a lot of negativity around Carolina athletics as a whole on Saturday, and I know people were going in. They wanted to see something really good from basketball, and for the most part, I think they did. I mean, for what it was, there's some nitpicks about the sloppiness, yeah, but that's one of those things. Like if there was going to be an issue had with that game, that's what kind of issue you want to see, something that's super, super fixable.
I would almost describe it as like a Carolina win by 40, but you're still looking at like, well, they won by 40. I'm very happy. Yeah. However, this one thing that stuck out just kind of bothers me. So I think that would almost be the similarity there. If Carolina wins by 45 against not a conference team, and someone, has a decent game, but it wasn't exactly what you thought, then this is the equivalent to that.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, Carolina won the game. No matter it was the blue side, the white side, Carolina won. Final score is 55-50 was white team that won, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, 55-50.
The full roster and starters and everything are posted on TarHeel247.com. So if anyone wants to see how the teams are split up, I do know for a fact that earlier in the day, Seth Trimble and Caleb Wilson were among some basketball players that were at the Ludacris concert early on Chapel Hill. And I had overheard Seth talking about they had no idea what the teams are. So they couldn't even start talking smack to each other yet. So it was very thrown together last minute in terms of teams. I think that was probably strategic on Hubert's behalf, just to get these guys not thinking too much about it, just go out there and play. But yeah, I mean, nothing to think about there.
And that's a great point, because that's kind of what Hubert, his philosophy has been the past couple of seasons. Like, you're seeing the same starting lineup from this month to this month under Hubert Davis has not really been his forte, or at least, playing the same guys consistently throughout a game. He really likes to mix and match pieces. And that's really what you have with this team, a lot of players with individual talent, and to kind of shift that focus to an individual player. I think there are two guys that people are most looking to see at this game, and that was Luca Bogavots. That's how you say his name, Bogavots, and Caleb Wilson. I want to start by talking about Luca, because what we saw from Luca was an ability to burn it from range. That dude hit 4 trays. He was 4 of 11, and that came, there was sometimes he was kind of jacking them up at the end of a shot clock, or he was just off balance. But when that dude set his feet and he fired it, and he was confident releasing the ball, he was really on the money, and he was a great facilitator as well. He had a couple really nice assists that it was like, oof, like driving and dishing to a big man and getting them involved. So Noah, I know you talked a little bit about Luca in your article. What are some of the key takeaways you got from him?
I think there was a lot of excitement with him coming in, but nobody really knew how he would sort of gel and mesh with this team. And we still don't know the extent of it. But I think the glimpse that we saw is super exciting for this team. I mean, he's as advertised. Caleb Wilson called him a veteran. And he got to campus, I think it was August 13th is when he first got to Chapel Hill. So he is still super, super new to this area, to college basketball in general. He played 2 years professionally overseas, but at least multiple seasons. And it translated. You can tell that this is not this guy's first rodeo. He had a team high 14 points, obviously led with those 4 threes there. But yeah, I mean, I think that he can have an incredible impact on this team, playing the wing, sort of being that 3-point guy. He took shots that his feet were set. He took moving, contested shots that he was putting through there. So it was really impressive. And I think that as he continues to get, and Seth told us too, after it's a process, but with Luca continuing to get to know his teammates, they're embracing him, he's embracing them. As this process plays out and as they creep more towards the start of the season, I think it's only going to go up from there. So I think everything that we saw out of Luca is the baseline of what we can see. And I think that there's so much room for improvement, and for him to start understanding his teammates and their skills and their strengths and everything. I think that he can really be a special player and be a really important factor on this team throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, everyone that we had talked to, Seth and Caleb, after the game said they both expect big things out of him and both called him an incredible shooter. So I think they're really starting to understand. And I think the other thing is, you can tell he was 4 of 11, but he was confident. When every time he shot the ball, you thought that was going in, right? Like, you could just tell by the way he plays that he's extremely confident what he can do. And that's something that's really important for shooters, especially. And that's something that some of those guys after the game touched on when they were talking about Luca, is that they keep telling him to just keep shooting the ball. Shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. If you miss it 4 times in a row, shoot it a 5th time next time down the court. So I think that's telling that he's only been here for less than 2 months. And these guys already realize, like, just shoot it however many times you can, get it up and put it through. So I think he was really impressive. And it's just a baseline for what we can expect this year.
That shooting confidence is something that was sorely lacking last year from this Carolina basketball roster. There were some guys who, going into the season, you were like, these guys really improved at their 3-point ability, but there was never a guy you were like, this guy's going to burn it all night. This is your go-to guy to take a 3. And there were some dudes that came in, they were supposed to be those guys, but we saw multiple people hit 3s confidently. And a guy like a Jonathan Powell hit a couple 3s. Seth Trimble hit a couple 3s, even a couple, spot up, just putting it up there and just stepping into it with confidence and showing an ability like, yeah, I know I can make this. I'm going to shoot it. Luca was like, he just exuded that confidence. 11 3-point attempts is crazy, but when you're hitting them, you're hitting them. And if you're a good shooter, you want to shoot them. And that's what you want to see from this Carolina roster this year is a more, not just ability to make the threes, but more willingness to shoot the three and not just have to rely on the drive and dish game. So that was really cool to see from Luca for sure.
And I get the sense that there's a lot of confident shooters on this team. We talked to Jonathan Powell, I think it was last week. He had said that, I think it was him, he had said that he feels he's the best shooter in the country. That's what his confidence is. We'll talk about Caleb Wilson here in a few minutes. I mean, talk about confidence. We'll talk more about confidence with Caleb Wilson and how he views himself and this team. But Kyan Evans is a really, really confident shooter. He feels like he can be one of the best shooters in the country. So Luca, Kyan, Jonathan Powell, and some other guys, with them, their confidence in shooting the ball, I think that this team can really, really hurt you this season from three.
Yep. And we are going to go ahead and shift the conversation to Caleb Wilson because, man, that dude, and it was funny because my dad, I was texting my dad about some live updates like, yo, this guy's looking pretty good. This guy's looking pretty good. I think, maybe towards the end of the first half, it was like, how's Caleb Wilson looking? I'm like, man, he hasn't really done too much. He had that one nice fadeaway J off the baseline. That was pretty cool and got the people up. He missed the dunk early, which was like, oh man, everybody wanted to see that go in. But that second half, man, he really turned it up and he had that sweet putback slam that got the fans on their feet. So Caleb Wilson, yeah, confidence. This guy's got confidence. And we knew that because of his comments and some of the things he said to media and on social media. And that's another one of those things that was kind of lacking from last year's team. And something you really want to see in these players is, hey, every night we go out there, we're going to beat you. We want to beat you. We think we can beat you. We're going to go in like we can, and we will. And Caleb Wilson, that he's kind of the centerpiece of that confidence, sort of the team confidence. He is the pillar, the centerpiece, Noah.
And there's already fans that I've seen that are just praying that he stays at UNC for 2 years. I mean, I think everybody sort of realizes what Caleb is and what kind of special talent he is. And I'll say as a person, I've really, really enjoyed hearing about Caleb and being around Caleb. This confidence just oozes out, and it's the confidence paired with the talent and the ability to back it up with your confidence. I mean, look, he told us after the scrimmage that some of the shots that he misses, he has so much confidence in himself that he tells himself if he misses a shot in the game that the rim moved. That's what he said he tells himself, because there's no time for him to dwell on the fact that he missed it. And so he'd rather blame it on the rim and say, look, I didn't mess up, the rim did, because that continues his confidence in a game and doesn't allow him to stop taking shots and stop attacking. His stats from that game, though, he really did it all. He had 13 points. He had 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot a 3 as well. And I saw in warmups, he was shooting a bunch of threes, and I'd say putting most of them through. I know I tweeted a video of him taking a running 3 in warmups, just kind of messing around, and it goes right through. So I think that he can really do it all when it comes. He brought the ball up the court. He crashed the boards, brought the ball up the court, went coast to coast. He got to the free throw line. He shot mid-range shots. He shot threes. Like, he is really the whole package. And I think the one thing, if you want to sort of pick a negative out of what he did, and again, this is his first ever experience getting in front of a crowd. I know it was with his teammates, but even getting on the court playing in front of a college crowd. There were a couple shots that were questionable to me. I don't know if you saw the same thing. Just some of those off the dribble, mid-range contested deep twos. I think over time, he'll continue to learn and continue to grow in that area. I think for a freshman with as much confidence as he had, and don't get me wrong, he made some of them. But I think that over time he'll get to learn and understand that those may be shots that he can make one more pass and potentially get a better shot for a teammate. But with someone with a confidence like that, that's what you expect as a 19-year-old coming in on your first scrimmage game, and just the excitement and just chucking shots. But like I said, he wasn't chucking in the sense that he's just being careless. Like, they were good shots for him. I'm sure those are shots that he's made 1,000 times. But he can do everything. And I think the thing that really to think about is after the game, Seth Trimble told us that he's going to be an X factor this year. He's really going to be, and I also saw his chemistry with Henry Vasar down there. I think that can be a special connection as 2 of your big men. But I think the team senses what he can do, his confidence. Guys have told us that He's sort of that guy that keeps it light at times in practices, and not everything's always super serious. And he even said his goal, he told us, first of all, he's not nervous. He wasn't nervous at all going to play that game. He was excited. But his goal is to just have fun, especially this past game. Hubert told him before the game, guys, just go out there, play, have fun. And I think Caleb Wilson, when he's under that circumstance, when he's going out there to play for fun and just play with his teammates, I think that's going to translate into the season. I think that's going to be part of his mindset. He's just a special player. And you even kind of the same with Luca. You saw a glimpse of what they can do, and with more time with one another, I think it's only going to explode from there.
And for as much fun as they may have had on the court, man, those guys were playing competitively. And if you want to flip that kind of negative takeaway we might have had at the beginning, they were playing really feisty defense for a scrimmage game. Yeah. And maybe some of those turnovers were caused by that defense. You know, for a scrimmage, a lot of the times you're thinking like something like an all-star game where people are just kind of running around and jacking up threes. No, these guys were in the passing lanes. Caleb Wilson was a big-time defender. We didn't see much on the stat sheet from Jaron Stevenson, but he was a guy I was definitely looking for, and he was guarding. He probably guarded every position at some point. The switches, the ability to switch on defense is going to be huge, especially when guys like Stevenson, guys like Caleb Wilson are on the floor, just because they're so athletic. So that's one of the other takeaways I had was defense. And then the second other takeaway I kind of wanted to bring up was you mentioned it, just the amount of guys who could bring the ball up the floor and facilitate the offense. Like there was nobody that felt like they weren't. And we even saw guys that we might not have expected to see in the scrimmage. All guys like in Evan Smith came in. We saw a little bit from Jaden Young, who is kind of wondering where he's going to fit into the whole rotation. But these guys were bringing the ball up the court, or they were getting the ball at the top of the key and facilitating the offense and letting everybody play to their strengths. You know, you're letting a guy like Caleb Wilson post up. You're letting a guy like Henry post up. You're setting screens for Powell to come off and rip a three, guys like Evans. I mean, that was just a lot. There was no lack of confidence. It was all pure, let's run this floor with whoever has the ball. Let's take it up with every guy and see how it runs. And it looked like it ran pretty effectively for most everybody.
I think confidence is like the theme of this team, at least right now. Like you can tell that everyone's confident in each other. Caleb's super confident in what the team can accomplish. And as much as I talked about like their message was to go have fun, like that's not to say, like you mentioned, you brought up the all-star thing, like, right, like ooping it off the backboard to each other. Like that's not what this was. And Seth told us that before the game. Like the message to the team was to have fun, but that's not in a careless way. Have fun competing. But Caleb said, we are going out there to win. We're going out there to compete. We're going out there to play the best we possibly can. And those are some of the things that these times and these scrimmages are going to help gel this team and move them forward and progress them through the rest of, I guess, the offseason, but really push them right up here towards the start of the regular season. So yeah, I think that, but like you said, confidence is like that number one theme that I've gotten with every single player that we've talked to already. And we'll continue obviously our coverage with ACC Media Day on Tuesday for the men's team and then moving forward. But yeah, I think that the confidence that this team has, and confidence can really take you a long way, especially in basketball.
And the last thing I want to mention, it was the big question last year with the center and just the depth at center, power forward, just the big men, right? We saw some feisty rebounding. I think if you look at Henry, maybe his close game wasn't as sharpened and refined as you'd want to see. He had a couple of chances to get to the basket, and he kind of sailed it over. Or maybe the hook wasn't there or whatever. But Henry was rebounding pretty well, and he was rebounding aggressively, which was really cool to see. But the guards were getting to the rim pretty well and finishing pretty well. I think there were some times where it was a little questionable, the ability to finish at the rim and just in that close game, especially with the big men. But I think for the most part, what they made up for was in rebounding, and that was a huge staple on this offseason from all the times we've talked to Hubert about what he wanted to see from his players. So that was nice to see.
I think that a lot of the reason that Henry isn't getting the, I guess, recognition after that scrimmage is because a lot of people had watched him at Arizona and a lot of people already knew what to expect, right? Like he's a veteran guy in college basketball. He's been around and just his ability to make an impact inside, right? Offensively, defensively, I don't think we talked about, but it's like he had some block shots. Like, he really makes an impact down low, especially on the boards, offensively, defensively. And he's sort of that physical guy that's going to give you everything he's possibly got every time down the floor. And I think that helps Caleb even more during the season, knowing that you've got a guy like Henry who's going to be down there. It sort of allows Caleb to play free. And I think for what Caleb brings to the table and everything he can do, I think it's sort of a perfect match and a perfect storm for the two of them to continue developing that relationship. And especially like once those two guys develop more chemistry and get passing to each other down low, right? Like, I would love to see Henry start ooping Caleb down low, and vice versa. Like, once those guys have that and the guards can continue finding passing lanes and everything down low, I think this team has the potential to be firing on all cylinders pretty early on. If they continue at the rate that they're at and have the confidence in each other, that they just need to know and understand where everyone's going to be on any given play.
No, we could probably do a 5 to 10 minute section about each player that was on the court, because we saw a lot from each player. I feel like, barring, of course, the injuries, guys like Derek Dixon, who did not play any. That was somebody I know people were looking forward to see. But, there was a lot we got from each individual player. But, we're not going to subject the audience to a 5-minute section about every single person. That's maybe for a later date. We'll see. We'll see how it all fares, how it all rolls out. But with that, I want to thank you for stopping in and giving us a listen, talking about some Carolina basketball season just around the corner. This was kind of the first step to get the off season underway. But if you like the pod, drop a like, hit that bell for alerts on daily content on the YouTube channel. And if you want to check out the website, tarheel247.com, subscribe for access to some premium boards, premium content, and more daily stuff. So thank you again for stopping by, and catch you next time.